All right, speedrunners, start the clock. Welcome to the Ultimate Cambridge Exams Strategy Explainer. Today, we are targeting the Cambridge AS and A-Level Paper 3 essay, and specifically, we're dissecting the structural and timing frameworks that examiners absolutely demand. Now listen, we aren't just going to casually read through the syllabus today. No way. We are treating this paper exactly like an e-sport. It is a strict race against the clock. Most candidates out there completely bleed time getting bogged down in descriptive fluff, misreading command words, and ultimately letting the countdown clock dictate their final grade. Imagine an active runtime ticking down in the corner of your vision, constantly updating your marks per minute. That's your mark velocity tracker, and right now, for most students, it's in the red. But by the end of this explainer, you're going to transform from a candidate who loses easy marks into a highly optimized elite exam taker who dictates the pace of the entire paper. We're going to optimize your reading speeds, deploy rapid essay frameworks, and eliminate every single wasted action so you can conquer those high-tariff questions before the time limit hits zero. Let's dive right into the run.
Okay, here is the tactical roadmap for our run today. Think of these as our mandatory checkpoints. 1. The core analytical framework. 2. The method mark strategy. 3. Mastering comparative analysis. 4. Avoiding examiner traps. And finally, checkpoint 5, the visual story hack. Clear these, and you're looking at a pristine run.
Section 1, the core analytical framework, systematizing your approach to complex texts. Let's build the absolute foundation of your optimal route.
So, pose this question to yourself right now. Why do students find interpreting complex texts and data so incredibly hard? When we pull up the telemetry of past paper performance and look at the map layout of this exam, we see candidates crashing and burning in the very first paragraph. Why? Because they lack a systematic approach to logical, structured reasoning. Imagine dropping into the exam paper, you see this massive multi-part block of text, and the screen buffer just locks up. Panic sets in. So what do? They start summarizing instead of analyzing. Look, summary is a massive, massive time sink. It drains your velocity down to absolute zero because you aren't actually answering the question, you are literally just repeating the map layout back to the examiner. You're wasting precious minutes generating 0 marks. To secure top-tier marks in the shortest possible time window, we need to completely shift your gameplay from passive reading to active, structured data extraction. You have to hunt for the specific assessment objectives, the AOs, that Cambridge wants.
Now check this out. This is real hard examiner data, and it highlights a critical optimization strategy. The principal examiner report explicitly states, candidates referencing cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks. Right there, that is your first massive time save and your ultimate score multiplier. The theoretical architecture of a Paper 3 essay doesn't just want isolated facts floating around in a vacuum. It rests on precise definitions, causal relationships, and integration with other syllabus areas. The examiners are literally telling you exactly how to break the game. Analytical depth beats superficial breadth every single time. Think about it. Writing 5 paragraphs of basic, isolated textbook definitions will get you a lower score and takes significantly more time than writing 2 highly optimized, densely packed paragraphs that connect concepts across the syllabus. You want to spike your mark velocity to the absolute maximum? You make cross-topic connections. That's the meta.
So how do we execute that? Here is the optimal route through literally any Paper 3 question. This is your 6-step procedural framework, and it's absolutely crucial you memorize this combo. Step 1, deconstruct question. This is what I call the 60-second command word scan. You drop in and you scan purely for what the examiner is commanding you to do. If you misinterpret a Cambridge command word here, like confusing evaluate with describe, your entire run is invalidated. It's an instant fail state for that question. Step 2, extract data from the stimulus materials. Do not read the whole thing like a novel, scan purely for the specific metrics you need to build your argument. Step 3, select framework. Choose the right analytical tool for the job. Step 4, execute analysis with incredibly clear notation. Step 5, verify results. Ask yourself, does your evidence actually prove your thesis or did your argument drift? And step 6, present with the correct syllabus-specific terminology. Memorize this exact sequence. Hitting these 6 steps in strict order locks in your pacing and prevents you from wandering off topic into a time-wasting dead end where your marks per minute flatlines.
Section 2, the method mark strategy. This is where we start hacking the assessment framework itself.
Okay, let's step into the co-op challenge arena for a second. We're going to look at the method mark strategy, which is the examiner practice of awarding marks for demonstrating correct analytical process and clear working, not just the final conclusion. The crucial point here is that examiners heavily reward your systematic processing. Let's look at a split-screen viewport of 2 candidates taking the exact same exam. Player 1, we'll call him Alex, and player 2, Sam.
They both hit a really complex data interpretation question. Now, Alex calculates the answer in his head, writes down a brilliant, highly accurate final conclusion, and moves to the next question. Total time, 3 minutes. Marks awarded, maybe 1 or 2 out of 5. Why? Because the examiner cannot see the working. Alex dropped the ball in the process. Now look at Sam. Sam writes down the initial equation or analytical framework, extracts the data onto the page, maps out the logical reasoning step by step. But Sam accidentally makes a minor calculation or logic error at the very end, resulting in a slightly flawed conclusion. Total time, 4 minutes. Marks awarded, 4 out of 5. Think about that. Sam deployed the method mark strategy. Sam showed the logical reasoning clearly, ticking off every single one of the examiner's process checkpoints along the way. You generate points by showing your work. The process is the payload, guys. Don't skip the animation. Show the examiner exactly how you got there.
Section 3, Mastering Comparative Analysis, Unlocking Higher Order Assessment Objectives. This is where we separate the casuals from the pros.
Time split check. Before we execute this next top band concept and lock in an A-star grade velocity, you need to optimize your subscription feed. Subscribe to Ace the Exams right now, at Ace the Exams, and turn on all notifications. Ring that bell. No matter if you are running IGCSE, O-Levels, AS, or A-Levels, this channel is your dedicated tracking center to outpace the clock and completely beat the examiners. All right, back into the run. There's a massive, massive divide between average and elite performance here. On the left, merely identifying similarities. On the right, evaluating differences with evidence. Let's go back to our split screen with Alex and Sam. They hit a structural roadblock mid-paragraph. With 5 minutes left to write their comparative section, Alex wants to slow down to outline basic textbook definitions of how two texts are similar. Alex is generating descriptive fluff, a massive time sink that completely drops his frame rate. Identifying similarities alone keeps you stuck in the descriptive lower levels of the mark scheme. Sam, however, pushes to throw a high-velocity analytical thesis link onto the page to maximize score acceleration. Sam knows that top-tier marks require identifying both similarities and differences, and crucially, using comparative connectives to link them. Sam deploys the Peel structure as an optimization template. Point, evidence, explanation, link. Sam smoothly transitions into a counterargument, writing, while text A relies on emotional anecdotal evidence, text B diverges significantly by utilizing statistical demographic data. This is demonstrated when text B states X, which establishes a more objective causal relationship than text A's subjective narrative. Therefore, text B provides a more robust foundation for the essay's core premise. Boom, flawless execution. Notice what just happened. Sam didn't just list facts. Sam evaluated the alternatives, compared the approaches side by side, and provided a justified recommendation, clearing the highest descriptive, analytical, and evaluative levels of the mark scheme in record time.
Section 4, Avoiding Examiner Traps. Spotting the performance leaks. It's time to play defense.
All right, I am handing the controls over to you for an interactive viewer time trial. We're looking at 3 deadly examiner warnings. Hitting any of these triggers immediate marking penalties and completely wrecks your score. Acceleration. First, confusing cause and effect relationships. If you mix up the catalyst with the outcome, your entire logic chain breaks. Second, forgetting to check format and presentation conventions. The syllabus demands proper headings, correct terminology, appropriate formats, and clear annotation. If you ignore these conventions because you are rushing, the examiner docks points instantly. And third, and honestly the most deadly run killer of them all, providing generic answers not specific to the context. Let's do challenge 1 of our time trial, the 60-second trend extraction. If I flashed a highly complex Cambridge source graph on the screen right now and gave you a 60-second countdown timer flashing rapidly, you wouldn't have time to read every label. You'd have to extract the single highest value data trend immediately. You have to apply that exact same intense focus to reading text. Let's isolate that last trap for challenge 2, spot the performance leak. The examiner alert literally flashes red here. Never provide generic answers. Always link every point to the given scenario. Listen to this flawed sample student paragraph and try to locate the exact line where bad pacing costs 4 critical marks. Ready? Data interpretation is the process of making sense of numerical data that has been collected, analyzed, and presented. The text shows this clearly. Did you spot the leak? Let me get my digital highlighter out. Right there, that first sentence is a straight-up textbook definition. It is completely generic descriptive fluff. It cost the candidate 4 critical marks because they completely failed to link that definition to the specific Afrikaans language text, or whatever specific scenario provided in the exam. If you want to optimize your score, never ever write a textbook definition without explicitly tying it to the precise context of the question. You have to weave the source material into your analysis seamlessly. Context is everything. Section 5, the visual story hack. Encoding concepts for fast retrieval. We are nearing the end of the run, so let's lock in your memory.
As we race toward the finish line, let's look at a memory hack to lock your pacing and structure into place under extreme exam pressure. When the clock hits those final 10 minutes, panic sets in. Your working memory degrades, and you start dropping critical elements of your essay structure. To combat this, we use the visual story method to encode Paper 3 essay concepts and frameworks. Instead of trying to memorize a dry, boring list of the 6-step procedural framework we talked about earlier, you encode it into a vivid, ridiculous narrative in your mind. Imagine yourself physically deconstructing a giant glowing neon question mark with a heavy hammer. Then you reach into the rubble and extract glowing green data cubes. You grab those cubes and place them into a massive, high-tech framework machine. The machine spins up and executes a brilliant laser light show of analysis. Suddenly, a massive, solid green verified checkmark symbol appears in the air. And finally, you present the finished glowing orb to an examiner wearing a full tuxedo. I know, it sounds totally crazy, right? But employing a visual story method ensures you won't drop critical elements of your structure when the clock is aggressively ticking down to zero. Your brain retrieves visual images exponentially faster than raw text. It's a massive memory time save.
So, to wrap up this speed run masterclass, there are exactly 3 absolute must-do optimization rules to beat the examiners at their own game. Just 3. Here is your victory screen recap. As Alex and Sam complete their final high-scoring response paragraphs, their mark velocity trackers hit a clean 100%. How did they do it? Rule 1. Master and execute the 6-step procedural framework. This is your 60-second command word scan. Never write a single word until you know exactly what the command word demands. Rule 2. Secure your method marks by showing your process. This is your marks per minute budget allocation. Allocate your time budget effectively. Spend time proving your logical steps. Don't just race to a naked conclusion. And Rule 3. Relentlessly link every single answer back to the specific context of the prompt to maintain that A-grade velocity. Never leave a generic definition on the page. Finally, always reserve a strict final 5-minute quality review pass to check your format, presentation, and terminology. Do these 3 things, master the systematic framework, and you won't just finish the paper before the timer runs out, you will completely dominate it.
And that is time. A perfect run. But your training isn't over yet. I want to hear from you. Which specific Cambridge Analytical framework do you find the hardest to clear under time pressure? Is it the initial data extraction? Is it building that comparative analysis without resorting to fluff? Drop a comment below sharing your biggest time pressure struggle. Optimize your route, respect the clock, and make sure you subscribe to Ace the Exams at Ace the Exams. Click that notification bell for weekly speedrun tutorials, keep practicing those past papers, and I will see you in the next explainer.